Over in the pages of Marvel Comics' core X-Men series, I think the Fall of X storyline has really imbued a reserved sense of focus across the X-Men series, really extending to the fact that now the X-Men are scattered across the globe and have to find a way to respond to this really interesting status quo. Over in the pages of Immortal X-Men, we've seen characters like Destiny and Exodus try and respond to this new storyline, only to encounter characters like Mother Righteous. Plus, some of the villains of Krakoa have returned, with Sebastian Shaw and Selene trying to uncover a way to profit off the demise of Krakoa. My name is Ariko Braddock, and today, let's go ahead and explore the pages of Immortal X-Men 16 to see if our mutants are able to survive the Fall of X status quo. Before we get deeper into the video, want to encourage you to consider supporting our channel by hitting the like button over on this video and hitting the subscribe button as well. Apocalypse when? When everything has already gone wrong, you may think at least you have nothing to worry about. You'd be wrong. Immortal X-Men issue 16 is written over from Kieron Gillen, featuring artwork from Lucas Werneck. We have colors from David Curiel, letters from VC's Clayton Cowles, design from Tom Muller and Jay Bowen. And here's a look over at our cover coming in from Mark Brooks, featuring a really climactic cover showing Apocalypse really returning to the X-Men line of comic book titles. And I want to spend just a few moments exploring some of the gorgeous artwork over from the series. I really found that artist Lucas Werneck did an excellent job capturing the really tense facial expressions for individuals like Sebastian Shaw and Selene. It's really been a thrill watching them operate behind the scenes of various X-Men issues, and I love how Kieron Gillen has slowly unfolded the plot with these two individuals beat by beat across Immortal X-Men. This scene over with Shaw and Selene heading into Shaw Industries is also a really gorgeous page. I think the way that this page is framed really celebrates some of the motion on the panel. And over on this next page, we can see Sebastian Shaw really introducing his Hellfire armor over to Selene. I thought the idea of Shaw having an armor of his very own is a really silly and irreverent plot detail over to some of the current X-Men titles. However, with the Invincible Iron Man comic book serving as a sister title to some of the X-Men comics right now, I think this plot beat feels a little bit more at home than what you might anticipate here. I'm also really curious to see Sebastian Shaw really use this armor towards Professor Xavier and some of the other mutants of Krakoa. Also, the way that the armor is captured on this final panel with the use of negative space over from Lucas Werneck is really beautiful. It's really amazing to see something introduced so new in terms of Marvel's continuity, rendered with such incredible level of precisions and with some really advanced comic book techniques like that negative space here. I'm really just impressed with all the shading and gravitas that Lucas Werneck continues to lend toward Immortal X-Men chapter after chapter over in the title here. I was also really shocked with how quickly this particular issue went ahead and advanced the storyline over between Shaw, Selene, and Professor Xavier. These individuals have a direct confrontation a little bit later in the issue, and I think it's really compelling to see how their story advances. Previous issues of Immortal X-Men have just done a phenomenal job setting up the fact that Xavier has really gone really violent over in some of these stories. And learning that Xavier is not the individual behind some of these greater implications, I think adds a really strong sense of intrigue over to the narrative here. I would really argue that one of the more wildcard elements over in the Immortal X-Men title right now is the secondary subplot where mutants like Hope as well as Exodus are working with Mother Righteous. It's been really interesting to watch how these characters have started to develop a relationship with the incredible sinister Righteous, who clearly has some bad intentions here. Really enjoyed watching Destiny give a little bit of warning towards some of the mutants who seem to embrace Righteous's direction so early in the issue. I also thought the introduction over for this plot thread was incredibly well paced and illustrated here. Seeing the character of Hope fight off some of those Wolverine characters that we've seen over in previous issues of the series has been really, really enthralling here. I've really loved how Kieron Gillen has focused in on the relationship over between Exodus and Hope across so many of these X-Men titles, and I'm so happy that Gillen continues to place an emphasis over on his characterization for all these individuals across the comic book medium. I was also really enthralled to see the character of Jean Grey really explore some of the recent issues of her own miniseries over at Marvel Comics. Some of those implications and her current connection to Apocalypse is incredibly interesting. I think it's really subversive as well that Kieron Gillen is utilizing Apocalypse when I would expect to see him next over in X-Men Red. I really found it cryptic to see him talking about all of these new ideas, and I'm really fascinated to see how some of these elements really expand and add some additional context over to Immortal X-Men. I'm hoping there's something with that desert location that Apocalypse will awaken over in some future installments of the series as well. I was also incredibly thrilled to see the last couple pages of this storyline add some fascinating new intrigue over to Immortal X-Men. I felt like this comic has been missing a little something ever since the Fall of X status quo really kicked off. And over on that final page, I think I got that extra bit of texture I was looking for. My theory is that this comic book is really going to unearth a plot line that has been central to Immortal X-Men through the first issue. So at the end of the day, I thought Immortal X-Men 16 was yet another really fun post-Fall of X status quo over for the X-Men line of comics. I think it was really interesting to see how Jean Grey was utilized over in this comic book. I also really liked the subversive addition over to Apocalypse in this story. It really feels like these X-Men comics are designed in a way to keep you guessing, and I'm so glad that Marvel Comics and some of the creators working across these books continue to take chance after chance after chance. I am so excited to check out the next issue of this series to see where that incredibly climactic cliffhanger is headed next. I want to know from you. Are you as excited to check out some future issues over of Immortal X-Men as I am? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming to check out our video review over on Immortal X-Men 16. And we'll be back to cover the future of the X-Men as soon as it's released. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.